In this video, I'm bringing you behind the scenes on a 3-day trip. We're heading to Phoenix, Arizona, where I'll explain how pilots bid for their monthly schedule. We'll go flying in a Cirrus SR-20, and I'm giving a presentation at the United Aviate Academy. You ready? Let's go.
My name's Paul. I fly airplanes for a living, but my passion is encouraging you to explore this beautiful world by giving you a glimpse into my layover life.
Notice anything different? You might be able to see it in my glasses. I got a new camera. It's the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, which replaces my Sony ZV-1 Mark II. If you've been around for a while, you might remember that I dropped that camera into a bowl of pho when we were in Vietnam about a year and a half ago. As a testament to Sony, that camera is what I've been shooting on for the last year. So all my videos from last year were shot on a camera that I dropped into a bowl of soup. Tonight I'm flying from my home in Minneapolis to my base in Newark, and tomorrow morning I have a 2-day trip that starts really early in the morning. We fly one leg from Newark to Phoenix, have a 24-hour layover, and then fly one leg from Phoenix back to Newark, and then I'll fly home 3 days from now. While I'm out in Phoenix, I get to do a little public speaking, which, if you saw my last video, was one of my goals this year. This is actually my second talk that I've given. Last month I spoke at the Cockpit Connect conference in San Diego, and tomorrow I'll be speaking at the United Aviate Academy in Goodyear, Arizona, which is great because it is 70 degrees warmer than it is here in Minneapolis. Should be a good trip. Let's go.
My first stop was the Minneapolis United Club for a quick dinner. I also used this time to text my first officer for the next morning. I usually like to touch base with the other people I'm flying with, so we all have each other's phone numbers just in case something comes up before the flight. My commute flight to Newark was wide open, so I received a seat assignment before the inbound plane even landed in Minneapolis. After they finished deplaning, it was off to Newark.
What's up, man? How are you? Good.
Good. Still works. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great one.
Yeah, you too.
After getting caught up on Peter McKinnon's latest videos, we landed in Newark, and it was off to the hotel, where I had a very important question for the front desk.
You don't have a sewing kit, do you? Yeah, that'd be awesome. On the flight out here, I remembered on my last trip my button had fallen off my suit coat, and hopefully this will be the last time I have to sew a button on my suit coat, because we're getting new uniforms in the spring, I believe. I don't know the exact date, but I got mine in the mail the other day and it looks pretty good. You might remember I was in a United commercial. We actually wore the new uniforms for that. I didn't get to keep that uniform that we wore for the commercial, so that went back to the wardrobe department, but who knows? Maybe I'll get to use it again someday. So I'm gonna get this button sewn on, watch a little YouTube, and then tomorrow morning, bright and early, we're headed to Phoenix.
Personally, I'd much rather be flying a red-eye flight to Europe than waking up at 4 a.m. But the Sonoran Desert would be a welcome change from my typical London layovers, especially this time of year. After picking up breakfast, I found a quiet spot to look over the flight plan. On flights overseas, the pilots typically meet in the flight planning area beforehand, but for domestic flights, we usually just meet at the airplane. And so, with a smooth flight in the forecast, it was down to brief the crew and push back for Phoenix.
Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning from the flight deck. Your captain speaking. I'd like to welcome you aboard United Flight 1796. Service now to Phoenix, Arizona. We'll be pushing back here shortly. Once we're en route today, 5 hours and 7 minutes from takeoff until touchdown. Should be a nice smooth flight. Chance of some light turbulence just off and on during the last hour of the flight, but overall a very nice day for flying. On our arrival today, clear skies, temperature of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. From all of us at United, welcome on board. Enjoy your flight. Good morning.
Good day, United 1796, 7 mile final, runway 8.
United 1796, Phoenix Tower, number 2, runway 8, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 8, United 1796.
One of the questions I get a lot in the comment section is about bidding. I've mentioned bidding for next month's schedule and some shorts and reels. Bidding takes place every month from the 5th
until the 10th, and all the pilots bid for their monthly schedule, and if you're the most senior pilot, you get exactly what you want. If you're the most junior pilot, you get whatever's left over. And actually, about the bottom 20% of pilots are on reserve. So really, if you're at 79%, you get what's left over. And if you're in the bottom, basically 20%, you're on call. If you've seen some of my past videos, you've seen a week in the life of me being on call, where you literally never know where you're gonna go on a daily basis. Let me explain seniority real quick. There's a company seniority, and we have 17,000 pilots, so number 1 is number 1, and number 17,000 is the very bottom. I'm about 5,000 in the company, but within that seniority is seniority on your airplane, and more specifically, the seat you sit in. So right now, I'm a captain on the 757 and 767, obviously. I'm about 64%, which means 64% of the Newark-based 757 and 767 captains are senior to me. So all those guys get what they want before I get what I want. If I were to be a first officer on the 757, 767 in Newark, I'd be like 18%, which would be awesome. I would be getting exactly what I want. And even now, I get the days off I want, but I don't get necessarily the great trips. If I were 18%, I'd probably be getting really awesome trips and all the days off I want. If I wanted to be number 1 somewhere, if I was a 737 first officer in Los Angeles, I'd be literally number 1. If I was a 777 captain in San Francisco, I'd be the very bottom guy. If I could even hold it, I might not even be able to hold that. So it's all based on your company seniority, but when you're bidding for your monthly schedule, that's within the seat on the airplane in your base. Speaking of bidding, I need to get that done before I go out to the United Aviate Academy tonight. Next month, my bidding strategy is basically this. I need 1 day off for my son's choir concert, and then I have 1 week of vacation, but it ends like in the middle of spring break, so I need about 5 or 6 days off after my vacation, so I'll end up getting about 12 days off total. So my bidding for next month is going to look something like this. My first choice would be international trips, my son's choir concert, and the 5 days after my spring break off. If I can't get that, my next choice would be domestic trips, but I only want to do 1 leg per day. So like this trip, I'm flying Newark to Phoenix today, Phoenix back to Newark tomorrow. That's 1 leg a day. It's nice and easy. And if I can do that, then I'll do that. But I also want commutable trips, meaning I can fly in the day the trip starts and fly home the day the trip ends. Obviously, I couldn't do that with this trip, but like I said, I'm 64%, so I don't always get what I want. My next choice after that would be maybe 2 legs a day domestic trips. So I'm going to put in my bid for next month. On the 13th of the month, the captain bid awards come out for the next month. The 15th is when the first officer bid awards come out. So in about a week, I'll know exactly what I'm flying for next month, and we'll see if I got what I want. What's up, dude? See you. Good to see you.
How's it been?
Good. Welcome to the vlog.
Thank you.
This is my friend Dylan. He's going to help film today.
Nice to meet you.
You might actually see him in the next video if everything goes well.
Let's hope so.
We've been working on a project out here for almost a year.
Year in the making.
So that's a little teaser of what's to come. But
Yes.
We're headed out to the Aviate Academy now, and we're gonna go flying in a Cirrus, and then make a speech to
People like me, young and upcoming.
That's it. Let's go. You ready?
Awesome. Yes.
Cool. As you probably know, the Aviate Academy is United's very own flight school, training up the next generation of United pilots. This is actually my 3rd trip to the Academy, and every time I'm here, they make me feel, well, sort of like a star. Yeah, of course, yeah. After meeting several of the students, I met Tanisha, the flight instructor who'd be taking Dylan and me flying.
How are you? Paul.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Cheryl will be flying you for the
Oh,
next
sweet.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome.
Yeah, super
Excited.
excited.
Are you coming tonight?
Before we went flying, however, I met a student who'd seen my video from the Aviate grand opening, and, well, I'll let him tell the story.
Because I didn't know what flight school to go to at the time.
Right, yeah.
I was going to go to Mom and Pop 61 somewhere in Long Island
Sure.
or something. So then I was like, you know, this one looks cool. I was like, I've never been to Arizona.
Yeah,
I was
right,
like,
yeah.
I'll apply. And then
You
2
got
years
it.
later,
Dude, that's
here I
wild.
am. It was crazy, man. It's so awesome to meet
Oh,
you.
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Thank
for
you
sure.
very much.
Well, congrats on, like,
Thank you.
changing your life.
Like literally.
Based on the YouTube video. hopefully you don't regret that.
I will
in 10
never
years.
regret. Like, I've nothing but enjoy my time here.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome to see it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, you too, man.
I'm not showing it, but I'm fangirling. I'm kind of fangirling.
Airport information, kilo, time 2347, wind variable at 4. Temperature 25, 2.1, altimeter 29er, 903. Visual approach of runway 21 in use. Advise on initial contact with information, kilo. Runway 409, good guitar, straight out departure, runway 21 cleared for takeoff.
Straight out departure, runway 21 cleared for takeoff, runway 409. And 71, rotate.
I don't get a chance to fly small airplanes very often anymore, so to fly a Cirrus during a Sonoran sunset was really nice.
Yeah, I just love the way that the mountains look during like the sun.
Yeah,
set
this is
time.
awesome.
Besides an enjoyable sunset flight, however, Tanisha shared with me her heart for aviation and the Aviate Academy.
Like one of the big things that we do is we give discovery flights out to like different high schools and like different kids in the area who aren't really sure about like if aviation is like the right path for them or not.
Right.
And showing that this and what you do and what we all do is like very attainable. And you can get there, right? If you put the work in behind it, and if you are given the opportunities, which is what we try to do here, then you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, when I was thinking about becoming a pilot, the biggest reason why I didn't, I was like, oh, I never see any women be pilots, or I've never seen, like, an Indian person be a pilot here, in, like, in this environment.
Yeah.
And the way that the school was, and, like, how they want to push for diversity, but also people that will work towards your goals and are ready to be in an accelerated program. I think that makes a big difference here.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome.
With the sun quickly setting, we headed back towards the airport, where a small group of students had gathered for a fireside chat.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Tonight I want to give you 3 keys to a successful and enjoyable aviation career. But first I want to take you back to the summer of 1993 at the Stanton Airfield in Stanton, Minnesota. So my dad and I were out here. It was like a beautiful summer afternoon. I'm like 13 years old at the time. And we were watching the gliders and skydivers. And my dad had started a conversation with the tow plane pilot and ultimately asked, hey, could my son go for an airplane ride? And for $5, I got to go up in this tow plane, and like, I still remember it to this day. Looking down at this lake that's in my hometown and seeing parts of it like I'd never seen before. My dad could tell that I was hooked, and not only could he tell I was hooked, but he also saw it as a opportunity. Because at the time I was getting really, really bad grades in school, C's and D's. So the next summer he said, all right, well, for every A you get 1 hour flying. And for every B you get a half hour flying. And so overnight, I went from C's and D's to A's and B's, and then started flying lessons. But none of that would have happened had my dad not asked the glider pilot. I wouldn't be standing here today if my dad hadn't asked the glider tow pilot if I could go for a ride. That to say, and this is probably the most important thing I want you to take away from this, is throughout your aviation career, I want you to always, always ask, because you never know what sort of experiences you're going to get, and you're going to have an amazing, amazing journey. Thank you.
I spent the next hour or so meeting everyone who made the effort to show up. A few people had even flown in from another flight school for the event. And to spend time with the next generation of aviators who are full of courage and ambition was incredibly powerful, because I'm confident that everyone here is going to soar. Good morning. Yesterday was amazing, but I got back to the hotel last night just completely fatigued. I had woken up at 2 a.m. Arizona time yesterday, and by the time I got back to the hotel, it was 11 p.m. last night. So I was super, super fatigued. And this morning we had a 10 o'clock van scheduled. I thought I could get up and go for a hike at 7 a.m. for an hour or so. And I didn't do that. I slept in, and then I noticed that our flight was actually delayed a couple hours. And then I thought again, I could get out and go for a hike, because that's what gives me life, is going to do that kind of stuff. But I didn't. I went back to sleep, and it was great. I got some rest. And if If you've ever heard the phrase, rest is holy, get some. And that's what I did today. So, a couple hours here, we're gonna head back to Newark. Before we do that, I'm gonna go grab a coffee and then get ready to go. I should still get back to Newark in time to catch my flight home tonight. Right now we're scheduled to Newark at 8 p.m. and the last flight home to Minneapolis is at 9:30 tonight. So I still should have plenty of time to catch my flight. Okay, let's go. If you're ever in downtown Phoenix, Fillmore Coffee Co. is pretty legit. I had an acai bowl, and not shown is a locally made pastry that made it to my mouth before the camera saw it. Oh, it's owned by a bloke from Australia, and if you saw our Australia video, well, you know how much we love Oz. This was honestly the perfect way to start the day before getting ready for our short flight back to Newark. For some reason, when I volunteer to do the pre-flight walk-around, it's always warm and sunny. Must be a coincidence.
Sky 2369, Phoenix Tower, wind 240 at 4, runway 7 left, clear for takeoff.
7 left, clear for takeoff, United 2369.
Newark had been dealing with a snowstorm earlier in the morning. Fortunately, that had all cleared out by the time we arrived. After we landed, I stopped by one of our flight planning rooms to slip back into my commuting clothes and headed to the United Club for a cocktail. I also finished up my bid for next month, which is kind of like telling Santa what you want for Christmas. Some months you get what you asked for, and some months you get a lump of coal. By the way, having an old-fashioned while you bid is a good way to end up with a lump of coal for a schedule. With my bid submitted, I made my way to my commute flight home, and the waiting game began. Will I get what I want, or will I end up on the naughty list?
United 904, runway 27 left, cleared to land, surface wind is calm.
Just got into London, and on the van ride to the hotel, our schedules came out. Before I tell you what I got for next month, let me explain why captain schedules come out on the 13th and first officer schedules come out on the 15th. It's probably not what you think. First officers can put captains on a no-fly list, meaning if there's a captain that a first officer doesn't want to fly with for whatever reason, usually it's personality reasons, the first officer can put their captain's employee number on the no-fly list, and the two of them won't be paired together. But in order to do that, the computer has to release the captain's schedules first, and then the first officer's schedules come out after that. Captains can't put first officers on a no-fly list because captains are expected to be able to lead and manage through whatever personality differences there are. In my 18 years here, there's been maybe a couple captains that I wouldn't necessarily want to fly with, but not so much that I wouldn't want to get a good trip in order to avoid flying with them. So in over 18 years at Continental and United, I've never had any captain on my no-fly list. Okay, now let's look at my schedule for next month. You might remember that I wanted my son's concert off. I wanted the last 5 days after my vacation off for spring break, and I wanted international trips. I got my son's concert off, and not only did I get 5 days off after my vacation, but I got 3 days off before my vacation. So if you add all that up, I got 15 days off over spring break at the end of the month. I also got 2 London trips, and I got 1 Phoenix trip, the exact same trip I just did on this video I'm doing again next month. That actually wasn't an accident. I bid that trip on purpose because I wanted to finish filming the project that I alluded to earlier. We also are planning to go on kind of a fun spring break trip with my family, so stay tuned for those 2 videos. Until then, I'm gonna go get some rest. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you on the next layover. Last month I spoke out at the Cockpit Connect conference in San Diego. On the flight out here, I remembered that my button on my suit coat had fallen off on my way out here that my button had fallen off on my last trip. So I'm very thankful that the hotel had a sewing kit. I don't know if you remember this. I'm not sure if you know this, but And I'll mention bidding for next month's schedule, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that, which is great. That's what I'm here for. Stupid. One of the questions I see in a lot of the comments is, how do you one of the questions I get a lot in the comment section is about bidding. Check, check. 1, 2. I feel kind of professional.
Cruise checklist, fuel pump is off, cruise power is set, mixtures lean, engine parameters monitored, fuel flow and balance monitor. Cruise checklist is complete. I think we are about trimmed out. And your controls?
Okay, the controls.
Your controls.
I'm so used to saying I have the aircraft.
Oh yeah.
So, controls.
Is that what is that the standard at United, or is it?
I think so.
I think it's is it
sound real confident, don't they? I don't know.
Yeah.
As long as you know what's going on.
That's all that matters, right?
Greenfield 3000.
Exactly.
I don't. If you're gonna sell these on eBay, I don't think you're gonna get very far.
Out of curiosity, raise your hand if you follow Paul.
Oh, thank you. Raise your hand if someone's gonna unfollow me after tonight.